Intensity techniques like forced reps do not actually cause muscle growth. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. But a quick reminder, if you guys will please click like down below, be greatly appreciated. If you are not following or subscribed yet, please do so. And if you would please drop me a comment down below the video just to say hello or give your thoughts, I would appreciate that so much. Thank you. All right, let's get over to the meat and potatoes of the topic. And when I say this, I want to be clear. I'm not telling people not to train hard. I believe in training hard. I believe in taking most sets very close to failure, right? Work sets, not necessarily your singles, your speed work. Doesn't always have to be, like ramping up. Like, for example, this is a 315, not max that I was ramping up with. But generally speaking, yeah, I'd like to see most sets with about 1 rep in reserve and occasionally something taken to muscle failure. You'll see a little bit of both. Through here just from some of my training clips from this week. But the thing is, guys, when we make this statement that these intensity techniques don't cause muscle growth, I mean under normal circumstances for trained lifters. There are obviously exceptions to the rule. The exception being if you have introduced new anabolic drugs to your stack or if you were very, very new to training. Okay? So those are exceptions. So when I say it doesn't happen, I don't mean ever. There are circumstances where it can happen. And so this is something I would point out with some of the top pro bodybuilders who did train that way and train really hard to that level. When they upped their stuff they were taking, there would have been a window of time where they would benefit from this stuff, potentially in terms of muscle growth. But without that, I'm going to go with no. And it has to do with the way muscle fibers are recruited and the way that they grow, right? So I'm not telling people not to train hard. Like if rest pause sets and forced reps and all that cause growth, I would be promoting them. I would personally do them all the time. Okay, let me be clear. If I believed they actually worked, I would have no trouble doing them. In fact, I used to do that stuff. Like I actually kind of like training that way. I don't think it's productive. Like at the end of this set right here, like if I really believed in it, I would rack it for 3 or 4 seconds, squeeze out another rep, rack it, squeeze out another couple reps. The same thing on the dips, same thing on the chin ups. Rest a few seconds, jump up and grab another rep. Okay, once you reach failure. To be fair, that training style appeals to me personally. Keep in mind, I used to do my stuff with work mode training. I do conjugate now. I love training with bands, with chains, all that stuff. Okay. Like for me, philosophically, I like it. I believe it's counterproductive. That's the only reason I don't do it. In any phases I've tried to do it, I burn out really fast. I've tried again because part of me would love to do that sort of stuff. So let me be clear. It's not an issue of, oh, you're being lazy. No, I actually love that stuff. If there were no consequences to it, man, I would do it all the time. I would train like that. And part of me wants to do it anyways. Let me be clear. I just don't think that it's going to add significant muscle growth. And that could change one day, and I might be over here doing, you know what, to heck with it, I'm just going to do it anyways. Let's Dorian Yates it up. Right? Because it has a cool factor and it has a fun factor. But what it doesn't seem to have is support in the scientific literature. All right, why? When you look at muscle fibers, the longer you train, the less and less of your intermediate fibers grow. It comes down to, realistically, it's mostly just your fast twitch fibers, right? Once you've been training a few years, that's what happens. Like as a novice, when you're first starting out, this is why you get noob gains. This explains noob gains. Most of your muscle fibers can grow. What happens is the slower twitch the fiber is, because there's a whole set of intermediate fibers, the less growth potential it has. The fastest twitch fibers don't have a natural limit. So when we say that, well, technically there is no natural limit, that is true. About 1% to 2% of your muscle fibers have an unlimited size capacity. But think about what I just said. They're a pretty small number of them. But they can keep growing, man. You can train them and they will keep growing for 20 years straight without any drugs, like completely natural. They absolutely will. Here's the problem. Those fibers, once they're exhausted, they exhaust about the last rep before you hit failure. So usually when you grind, that's them cutting out. So when you see that last rep to where the weight really slows down, those fibers are basically dying out. They're petering out. They're running out of steam and they're not firing correctly. That's why the weight moves so slow on like rep 8 or 10 or whatever, right before failure, then you miss the rep, okay? Does everyone understand that? That's why you see the bar slow. It's questionable if that grindy rep produced muscle growth or not. It might have for part of the rep though, so I don't want to say it doesn't. It's a source of contention. Now, will it cause less growth than the rep before it did? I'm going to say yeah. The rep you fail probably doesn't cause any muscle growth, okay? Because the fast twitch fibers are done. So what happens if you do forced reps? Well, you're back to those intermediate fibers. Now, if you're a novice, they'll grow. Okay, here's the other thing. All those fibers are also subject to anabolic drugs. So all those muscle fibers can grow from magical supplements. See where I'm going with this? So yeah, if you're coming back through doing these harder sets, and see where I'm about to go. You're doing these harder sets, and you just added some new stuff to the mix. Or you've been running real conservative and you start blasting, or you add a new substance, you know. That might be a prime opportunity for that method to actually do something. Why? Because you're now hitting those intermediate fibers again and re-exhausting them. Well, they're in an environment now where they can grow again. So it's not lost training stimulus. So again, when we talk about this stuff, and I'd say for a drug-free guy, Dorian Yates' training was a problem. That's what I'm talking about. But for Dorian Yates, it worked. Why? Because he was on enough stuff that he actually got some muscle growth from those rest pause stuff and the forced reps and all that stuff at the end. But you are back to intermediate fibers with it, and if you have maxed those out for the current hormone profile that you have, meaning natural is a hormone profile, 500 milligrams of test is a hormone profile, 1,000 milligrams of test is a different hormone profile, right? See where we're going? Up. Then yes, you're not going to get anything out of it. But if you're Dorian Yates in that situation, or someone doing what he was doing, that off-season blast, well, yeah, now we're back over to gaining muscle from it, and it will do something. It's also going to beat the hell out of your recovery, though. You can't do a whole lot of it, okay? And even he told you that. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.